ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to this session on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana Shiksha, chapter 21. Chapter 21 is entitled as the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. So we will begin this series where we will discuss chapter 21 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chapter 21 is quite a short chapter in compared to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Usually Chaitanya Charitamrita, each chapter has 250, 300, sometimes 400, 450 verses. So in that context, chapter 21 is having only 149 verses. So we should say take at least 8 sessions to complete this. So this is a very interesting chapter and a very important chapter, and we will go verse by verse and discuss this chapter. Before that, let us go to the overview of chapter 21. But before I do that, I thought it is wise to have an overview of chapter 20. Chapter 20. So I'm just sharing the screen. So Sanatana Shiksha basically constitutes chapter 20. Lord Chaitanya instructs Sanatana Goswami in the science of absolute truth. And then chapter 21, the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. Chapter 22, the process of devotional service. Chapter 23, life's ultimate goal, love of Godhead. In one sense, the three subject matters of the Vedas, that is Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. So in one sense, chapter 20 and 21, Sambandha Gyan of our Sambandha Gyan with Krishna is given in these two chapters, 20 and 21. Abhidheya is Bhakti. So the process of Bhakti is mentioned in chapter 22. And Prayojan, Krishna Prem, love of Godhead, is chapter 23. And chapter 24, in one sense, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his teaching, Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan, Sanatana Goswami was inquisitive because he had heard that he had given different explanations of the verse Atmaram when he had the Sarvabhaum Samvad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya Samvad, which happened in Jagannath Puri. So he was very inquisitive. Can you explain me? Can you? Then there he had given 11 different explanations, I think so. But here, 61 explanations of this verse, Mahaprabhu further expands that. So in one sense, chapter 20, 21, 22 and 23 constitutes Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojan. 20 and 21 Sambandha, Abhidheya is 22, Prayojan, Krishna Prem is 23. This is further inquiry of Sanatana Goswami on the Atmaram verse, and Mahaprabhu explains it. So for us, chapter 20, 21 and 22 are very important. 23, Krishna Prem, yes, the Tattva you have to understand because it is very important. But some of the most intimate pastimes are also mentioned in chapter 23, which, sadhakas might not have adhikar to hear, so we should skip that. Now, summarizing chapter 20. Summarizing chapter 20. Now, there are four important questions Sanatana Goswami asked after he met, after he got released from the jail and traveled and ultimately reached Banaras, and then Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami Milan is explained. And then Sanatana Goswami's renunciation manifest. And then when his renunciation reached to its peak, then he got the spiritual strength to inquire. And he inquired, Kiyami keno amaya jare tapatroy. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? So question one is, who am I? And question two is, why do the threefold miseries give me always trouble? And then the next two questions is, Sadhya sadhana tattva puchite na jani, kripa kare sabha tattva kaha ta apani. Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for attaining. Sadhya is goal, and sadhana is the means to attain it, or the process to attain it. So sadhya and sadhana. So these are the four essential questions put forth by Sanatana Goswami to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these four questions constitute these entire chapters, 23, 20, 21, 22, 23. Of course, he puts a question on the explanation of Atmaram verse, and that is elaborated in chapter 24, the 61 explanations. But these are the four essential questions. And Mahaprabhu starts replying, and we have seen how within the teachings of Sanatana Goswami, there are the Dashamula Tattva. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has extracted these Dashamula Tattva from the Sanatana Shiksha because Mahaprabhu himself taught it and composed a book called as Dashamula Tattva. So we did a comparative study, if you remember, when we went through chapter 20. So we will be doing that also a little bit today in the introductory class, just to begin our chapter 21 so that we lay the foundation. We will be doing that. But when Mahaprabhu starts replying, this is a very important verse from chapter 20, where it is mentioned, Krishna Swarupa Madhurya Aishwarya Bhakti Rasashrayam Tattvam Sanatana Esha Kripaya Upadesha Saha. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally told Sanatana Goswami about Lord Krishna's identity, Krishna Swarupa. He also told him about the Lord's conjugal love, Madhurya, his personal opulence, Aishwarya, and the mellows of devotional service, Bhakti Rasa. So, Krishna Swarupa Tattva, Krishna's Madhurya Tattva, Aishwarya Tattva, and Bhakti Rasa Tattva. So these are the four things which Mahaprabhu taught Sanatana Goswami. What are the four things? Krishna Swarupa, Lord Krishna's real identity. Chapter 20 deals with it. Madhurya, Krishna's conjugal love. So first, Krishna's sweetness of Krishna's beauty is established in chapter 21. And then the conjugal pastimes or the goal is Krishna Prema, that is more dealt in chapter 23. Aishwarya again is in chapter 21, his personal opulence. And Bhakti Rasa, mellows of devotional service, is in chapter 22 and 23, of course in Prema. So 22 is also a very, very important chapter for us. In fact, entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is there in chapter 22. So chapter 21 in one sense consists of Krishna's Madhurya and Aishwarya. Madhurya Gyan and Aishwarya Gyan. Krishna's sweetness and Krishna's opulence. So Krishna Swarup, Mahaprabhu began after addressing the essential questions, Kiyami, Kitapatra, and then how you are a Jiva, how the Jiva is caught up in there are three Shaktis of the Lord, how the Jiva is caught up now in the Bhairanga Shakti, actually belongs to the superior energy. And the sadhan is Bhakti, Bhagavan Sambandha, Bhakti Haya Vidaya, Prema Prayojana, Veda Eitona Vastu Kahe. So there is Bhagavan Sambandh. You have to establish a Sambandh to get out of these threefold miseries. The sadhana is Bhakti. And the sadhya is Prem, Krishna Prem. So with respect to Sambandha, Bhagavan Sambandha, so the absolute truth is called as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So Krishna Swarup was exhaustively discussed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in chapter 20. In fact, if you remember, we have discussed Krishna's Swarup is Swayam Bhagavan. There are three different forms. Krishna expands in three different ways. Swayam Bhagavan, Tadekatma, and Avesh. So Swayam, I'll show you this. Classifications of Lord Krishna as Swayam Roop, Tadekatma, and Avesh. So Swayam Bhagavan is Krishna, the cowherd boy of Vrindavan. And when he himself expands, there are two different expansions, Prabhav Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash. So the Ras Leela expansions are his own expansions. Or Krishna in Dwarka expands into 16,100 to stay with his 16,100 great queens. The Vaibhav are a little different manifestations. Different features are there, like Vasudev, the son of Devaki, and Balram. And then Tadekatma. Then these are, the forms are different and emotions are different. And within this, there is Vilas and Swaamsha. And these are the pastime expansions, and these are the personal expansions. Within the pastime, there is the Prabha Vilas and the Vaibhav Vilas. And within the Prabha Vilas is the Adi Chaturvyuha, the the fully potent manifestations, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And then there are the Vaibhav Vilas, the Dvitiya Chaturvyuha and the unlimited Chaturvyuhas, which come out in the Vaikuntha Lokas. And then there are the Swamshas, the Purusha avatars, the Leela avatars, the Guna avatars, the Manvantara avatars, the Yuga avatars, and the Shaktyavesha avatars. And the Shaktyavesha avatars are the Avesh Rupa. So Krishnera Swarupa Vichar Suno Sanatan. So Krishna's Swarup, Sambandha, is ultimately with Krishna. So this is Krishna. To understand in Krishna totally means to understand all Krishna's expansions. So it was a vast explanation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we all discussed this in chapter 20. At last, after discussing about all the expansions, then Krishna's pastimes, especially his sweet pastimes of Vrindavan, were discussed. So there are the Aishwarya forms of the Lord, which are there in the Vaikuntha, but there is the Madhurya form of the Lord, which is exhibited in Vrindavan. Ultimately, we should be attracted to the Madhurya form. And Vraj Bhakti, and that is what Mahaprabhu has come to give us, Ananya Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, or Kevala Bhakti, or Uttama Bhakti. And Vraj Bhakti can be obtained only if we worship Vraj Krishna, that is Swayam Bhagwan, who is a Gopvesh. So all this was established in chapter 20. All this was established in chapter 20. All this was established in chapter 20. So now, after establishing all this in chapter 20, further in chapter 21, it was concluded that there is the Lord in his Madhurya form, sweetness, which is the Vraja Krishna, and there is the Aishwarya Krishna in the Vaikuntha, where he expands unlimited into the Chaturvyuha forms. So among the Aishwarya and the Madhurya is what we should be attracted. So now in chapter 21, both the Madhurya and the opulence of Krishna and the sweetness of Krishna will be discussed exhaustively. So that's how is the connection between chapter 20 and chapter 21. So this is just an overview before we begin chapter 21. So we will start now with chapter 21. Anyone has any questions regarding up till now what we have discussed? Any questions? Just a second. Give me a second. So any questions about this? Is just short overview of chapter 20 and the connection between chapter 20 and 21. Any questions, any clarifications? Okay then, so let us begin now, chapter 20. So first we will go to the overview. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 21st chapter. In this chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fully describes Krishna Lok, the spiritual sky, the causal ocean, and the material world, which consists of innumerable universes. So Krishna's entire Aishwarya, the three-path vibhuti and the ek-path vibhuti, the spiritual and the material opulences, both are explained. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then describes Lord Brahma's interview with Krishna at Dwarka and the Lord's curbing the pride of Brahma. So some Aishwarya Gyan, this is more to do with Aishwarya Gyan. There is also a description of one of the Krishna's pastimes with Brahma. Again, this is Aishwarya Gyan. In this chapter, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has presented some nice poems about the pastimes of Krishna and Krishna's super excellent beauty. So one thing stands in Krishna which none of the other avatars have it. Not even Narayan, not even Dwarka Krishna or Mathura Krishna. That is the super excellent beauty. Rupa Madhurya. Krishna's Rupa Madhurya, as Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu mentions. Leela Madhurya. Leela Madhurya means Krishna's wonderful pastimes which he does, especially in Braj. So Leela Madhurya. And then Venu Madhurya. And there are four opulences which are exclusive to Krishna. One is Rupa Madhurya, Leela Madhurya, and Venu Madhurya, and I don't recollect the fourth one. Somehow it's not striking me. If anyone knows, they can type it. Yeah. Throughout the rest of the chapter, our intimate relationship, sambandha with Krishna, is described. Now, interesting, we should note this point here that Bhagavan Sambandha, Bhakti hai Aviday, and Prema Prayojan. That is the most important verse which we should know. Now, Bhagavan Sambandha, we should establish with Bhagavan is Narayan also, Bhagavan is Vara also, Bhagavan is Kapil also. But Bhagavan is Dwarka Krishna also, Bhagavan is Mathura Krishna, but Bhagavan is for us Braja Krishna. And to develop that intimate relationship with Vraja Krishna, that is the goal for us as sadhakas in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's why Prabhupada is saying our intimate relationship, sambandha. So this chapter 21, by understanding the Aishwarya Gyan and the Madhurya Gyan, and we get attracted to the Madhurya, the sweetness of Krishna, his beauty, his attractive pastimes. So that is the goal, because then only we can take up to Ananya Bhakti and attain Krishna Prem in Golok Vrindavan. So that's why it is being mentioned like this, our intimate relation. So we have to establish sambandh with Vraja Krishna. So that is what overview Prabhupada quotes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita called as the Amrit Prabhava Bhashya. Amrit means nectar, Prabha means it's like flowing, like a ocean or like a river or like a water gushing out of the dam. Bhashya means tika. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur both wrote commentaries on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Prabhupada, both the Acharya's tikas with his own realizations, has given us his own commentaries. Okay, now let's go to the chapter overview. So 1 to 30, a prelude of the unlimited opulences of Krishna in his abodes. Expansion of Krishna's, expanse of the spiritual sky, and expanse of Krishna's transcendental qualities. And especially Krishna's opulence in Vrindavan depicted in the Brahma Vihuman Leela. So this is one section with 3 subsections. Then Krishna's Aishwarya, the unlimited opulence of Krishna. So Krishna is Trayadish, and it has 3 meanings. One is a general meaning, Samanya, one is a Madhyama, The general is he's Lord of the three Guna avatars. That is Trayadish. And then he's Lord of three Purush avatars. And then he's the Lord of the three Dhams. So like that, three different meanings are there. And then opulences of Ekpad Vibhiti of the Lord Krishna. So this is one section. And then Krishna's Madhurya, the sweetness of Lord Krishna's form. So how wonderful are Krishna's qualities and various aspects of his sweet form. Krishna's beauty, Krishna's body, face, smile, the sweetness, and Krishna's sound, flute, and its effects. And all this is being described in the Madhurya so that we get attracted to Krishna's Madhurya feature and not the Aishwarya feature. But of course, the Aishwarya should be known. And knowing the Aishwarya, we should get attracted to the Madhurya. And after describing all this, Lord Chaitanya has gone into an internal consciousness. Then he returns back to an external consciousness. So this is like the overview of chapter 21. Any questions on this up till now? Or the overview of chapter 21? Okay, so now before I begin with chapter 21, I would like to again go through the Dashamula Tattva, because we are doing a little bit comparative study of Dashamula Tattva. And where are we now in our understanding of Dashamula Tattva within the Sanatana SIKSA is also important for us to know. So I will recite this, and everyone should know this one verse, very, very important verse. If you know this, you know the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. Amnaya rahatatvam harim iha paramam sarvashaktim rasabdim tadbhinnam shamscha jivan prakriti kavalitan tadvimuktamscha bhavan bheda bheda prakasham sakalam api hare sadhananam shuddha bhaktim sadhyam tat pritam evetupadeshati janan Gaurachandra swayam sa. Amnaya. Amnaya means the Vedas. So in the Vedas, what is being established? Praha Tattvam Hari. That the Hari is the absolute truth. He is the supreme absolute truth. That's what the Vedas established. This is Praman, and first Pramay. Pramay is that what is derived from the Praman. What is first derived? That Hari is the absolute truth. He is Sarva Shaktiman. Sarva Shaktiman, possessor of all potencies. Rasabdim. He is the ocean of Rasa. He is the ocean of Rasa. And Tad Bhinnamsh. The jivas are his separated parts. And some jivas are Nitya Bhadda. Prakriti Kavalitan. And some are what? They are liberated. Tad Vimuktans. And the relationship between the jivas and Krishna is Bheda Bheda Prakasham Sakalam Api Hare. So Amnaya first Dashamula Tattva. Second Dashamula Tattva is Hari Tattvam Paramam. Third is Sarva Shaktiman. Rasabdim is fourth. Tad Bhinnams is fifth. Prakriti Kavalitan is sixth. Tad Vimuktans is seventh. Bheda Bheda Prakasham is eighth. So there are 7 pramayas here and 1 praman, Amnaya. All this constitutes Sambandha Gyan. All this constitutes Sambandha Gyan. And what is the Abhidheya? Abhidheya is Sadhanam Shuddha Bhaktim. Sambandha Abhidheya. Abhidheya is Bhakti. and Sadhyam is Preeti, love for him. And this was instructed to the people by whom? Gaurachandra, the Golden Lord, whose effulgence resounds personally. He personally instructed to Sanatana Goswami. So, Sambandha Gyan is in 8 of the Dashamula Tattvas. Abhidheya is 9th, that is sadhana. And Sadhya is love of Godhead. So that's how this Dashamula Tattva there. And in one sense, chapter 20 has the Sambandha Gyan, chapter 20 and 21. Chapter 22 has Abhidheya Gyan, and chapter 23 has Prayojan Gyan. I hope it is clear. So now I will show how chapter 20 has the Sambandha Gyan. So these are the 8 Dashamula Tattvas among the 10, 8. So I will show you how now proof for the first 8 Tattvas. Okay, again, are you clear about the Dashamula Tattva or any questions you have about it before we go to the proofs of Dashamula Tattva? Any questions, any clarifications on that? Okay, so let us now go to the proofs for the first 8 Tattvas. One will receive all information. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaking in Bhakti Aloka in the Nishya article. One will receive all information from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's answer to Sanatana Goswami regarding authority. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 20, see 21-24. Veda Shastra ka hai sambandha abhidaya prayojan, Krishna prapya sambandha bhakti praptera sadhana. So, Amnaya, Veda. The Veda, it what says? Sambandha abhidaya prayojan. And to attain Krishna is to establish our relationship with Krishna and to act accordingly is our, bhakti, and then we attain sadhya prayojan. So here, Amnaya states this regarding authority. Authority is Amnaya. Here, Amnaya. So first Dashamula proof is here. And then regarding the second basic truth, second Dashamula Tutta, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, again see Madhya Leela chapter 20, 152, 155, 157. Krishnera Swarupa Vichar Shuno Sanatan Advaya Jnana Tattva Braje Vrajendra Nandan. So, Hari Param Tattvam, as the Amnaya said here, Praha Tattvam Harim Iha Paramam, that Hari is the supreme absolute truth. So this teaching is also there. Advaya Gyan Tattva Braje Vrajendra Nandan. That the absolute truth is Vrajendra Nandan Krishna. And here is addressed as Swayam Bhagwan, Krishna Govinda Paranam, Sarvaishwarya Punyanra Golok Nityadam. So the highest absolute truth is Krishna, who is Swayam Bhagwan. And then Jnana Yoga Bhakti Tina Sadhanera Vashe Brahma Atma Bhagwan Trivida Prakashe. By Jnana you can attain Brahman, by Yoga you can attain Paramatma, and by Bhakti, Bhagwan. So the second Dashamula Tattva is proved here. Then, okay, 1 second, let me go back. Sarva Shaktiman. Sarva Shaktiman is also there, but before that is Rasabdhim. Regarding Krishna's energy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Again, you can see in chapter 20 it is there. Krishnera Swabhavika Tina Shakti Parinati Chit Shakti Jiva Shakti Aramaya Shakti. So Krishna's Sarva Shaktiman. Sarva Shaktiman is mentioned in this chapter 20, 1-11. Sarva Shaktiman has been mentioned. So the third Dashamula Tattva, 1, 2, and 3. Third Dashamula Tattva is proved here. And then the fourth, Krishna is full of rasa. This is explained by Mahaprabhu in chapter 20 again, verse 153. Sarvadi Sarvamshi Kishora Shekhar Chidananda Deha Sarvashray Sarveshwar. Sarva Adi, Krishna is the original source of everything. Sarvamshi is the sum total of everything. Kishora Shekhar, he appears as a supreme it. Rasika Shekhar, Kishora Shekhar, all these are Rasananda. He's the ocean of rasa. Chidananda Deya, his body is composed of spiritual bliss. He is the shelter of everything. Sarvashray, Sarveshwar, he is the master of anything. So, Sarva Shaktiman, Rasabdim. Rasabdim means he is the ocean of rasa. So, this is the proof where this Dashamula Tattva is explained by Mahaprabhu. And the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regarding the constitutional position of the living entity is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, again chapter 20. No, Tad Bhinnamsha. Tad Bhinnamsha is the Jivas are Bhinnamsha. Jivera Swaruphoy Krishnera Nityanas Das Krishnera Tatastha Shakti. So it's a Bhinnamsha. Bheda Bheda Prakash. Suryamsha Kiranayache Agni Jwala Choy. Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Shakti hai. So the Jivas are Bhinna and there is a Bheda Bheda Prakash. So here you can see the Dashamula Tattva, Tad Bhinnamsha and Bheda Bheda Prakash. Then there is the liberated and the bound. So all these 8 constitute Sambandha Gyan, as I was mentioning. And how do we establish that? By bhakti, sadhana. What is the sadhana? And then sadhes prem. So now, after establishing this tad bhinnamsh, the jiva shakti, then Badha Jeev. Regarding conditioned living entities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the following description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, this regarding condition, this Dashamula Tattva, it is in chapter 22. But one verse is in chapter 20. Say Vibhinnamsha Jiva Dvaita Prakar, Eka Nitya Mukta, Eka Nitya Samsara. Krishna Buli se Jiva Anadi Bahirmukh, Atayeva Maya Tare Deha Samsara Dukh. So this is from chapter 20. So this is why am I suffering? Because we are bound now, the Bhairanga Shakti. So the Nitya Mukta and the Nitya Baddha are explained in chapter 22, but one verse is there in chapter 20 also. Now regarding the Mukta Jeev, Nitya Mukta Nitya Krishna Charane Unmukha Krishna Parshada Nama Bhuje Seva Sukh. So this is again Nitya Mukta in chapter 20 also again. So among the 8 Dashamula Tattva, practically 6 are in chapter 20 proofs. Only 2, the Nitya Mukta and the Nitya Baddha, are in chapter 22. Of course, again in the Nitya Baddha, there is one verse which is of chapter 20 also in one sense. Now, Bheda Bheda Prakash, again, Krishna Tatastha Sakti, Bheda Bheda Prakash is there. So we can see how Sambandha Gyan is in chapter 20 and 21. Abhidheya is, the 8 Dashamula Tattvas are covered here in chapter 20 and 21. Of course, Nitya Mukta is in chapter 22 and one more verse, Nitya Baddha is in chapter 22. But in general, Sambandha Gyan is completely there in chapter 20 and 21. Chapter 22, Abhidheya. Chapter 23, Prayojan. So I've summarized already chapter 21. So we can start with now chapter 21. Now I just summarized the Dashamula Tattva in relation to the proofs given by Mahaprabhu in chapter 20 and also a summary of Sambandha Vidya Prayojan in chapter 20, 21, 22. Any questions on this? Any clarifications? Are you able to follow? Or if there are no questions, that means you have followed everything or you have not followed anything. So just wanted to know, are you able to follow the discussion, what is happening? Birendra Yadav Prabhuji?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is it clear? The discussion up till now?
Yes, sir. Just for this, just move at the last 9 times. It is in which chapter?
Dashamula Tattva 9th Sadhana.
Dhana and
Sadhana, as I mentioned, is an entire chapter, which is chapter 22, the process of devotional service. So there, it has been touched upon in chapter 20, Bhakti hai abhiday, but how to practice Bhakti, the whole process of Bhakti is explained in chapter 22. So in that sense, chapter 22 is very important. And Sadhya is again in chapter 23. Sadhya is in chapter 23. Is it clear? Is it clear or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions anyone has? Any other clarifications? Okay, so we will now begin with chapter 21. Now, it's a very, very important chapter, very important to understand the opulence of Krishna. And the more we understand the opulence of Krishna, the more we'll become attached to Krishna. Sambandh Gyan. Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashaya. Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yata Gyasasi Tatshunu. The Gita, Lord Krishna begins the 7th chapter with, Maya Sakta. Asakta means to become. Oh, there is some disturbance. Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashayam Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyashashi Tachunu. Maya Sakta. Asakta means the mind should become attached to me. Krishna is saying. This is the goal. And how? By yoga. Yogam Yunjan. By taking shelter of me, Madashayam. And by clearing all your doubts, Samagram. How it can happen? Then you'll know me completely. And where it all begins with? Tatshunu. It begins with hearing. So by hearing, you will know about Krishna. And all your doubts will be completely, resolved. You will take shelter of Krishna. And you will be connected in yoga with Krishna. And then you will attain this Maya Sakta platform. And then he begins with this 7.2 verse. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshata yagyatma neya bhuyonyaj gyatavyam avashishyate. So Jnana, Prabhupada says, as phenomenal knowledge, and Vijnana is numinous knowledge. Now we will not go into this discussion now. But Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, in his commentary to the Gita, Jnana he says as Aishwarya Jnana. And Vijnana as Madhurya Jnana. Aishwarya Gyan means knowing Krishna's opulence. How Krishna, by his Bhairanga Shakti, he has this Bhumi Rapo Analo Ayukham Manor, like 7.4 is like Aishwarya Gyan. This is Aishwarya Gyan. 7.5 is Aishwarya Gyan. So, like that, Aishwarya Gyan is given. Madhurya Gyan means the sweetness of Krishna, that how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. So that is the sweetness of Krishna. So like that, the combination of Aishwarya and Madhurya Gyan is given in the Bhagavad Gita. The 7th chapter, the 8th chapter, there is Aishwarya Gyan given. In the 9th chapter also, Krishna gives his Aishwarya Gyan, how, he manifests. 9.4 to 9.10 is all Aishwarya Gyan. And then the Madhurya Gyan, how Krishna is so dear to his devotee. Apichetso duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhu reva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. So the glory of bhakti and the glory of devotional process is mentioned. In the 10th chapter, again, Krishna extols the glory of his Aishwarya, the Vibhuti Yoga. And there is the Chatur Shloki, the Aishwarya and the Madhurya is combined there. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu is the Aishwarya Gyan. And like the other verses, like Tesham Satat Yuktan, the Madhurya Gyan. So in the 11th chapter, there is again the Aishwarya with the Vishwarup Yoga, Krishna exhibiting his Vishwarup. And in the 12th chapter, again, the glory of his devotees is established. So like that, a combination of Aishwarya and Madhurya Gyan is there. So the more we understand this Aishwarya Gyan, the more we will be attracted to Krishna. So that is the point. So Birendra Yadav Prabhuji, you had a question?
Prabhu, just one clarification with regard to the 7.1 verse of Bhagavad Gita, where it says Maya Asakt Manapartha. This Maya Asakt, does it refer to Asakti stage of our sadhana?
Yes. Asakta means the mind completely being attached to Krishna. So that is the goal. Krishna first gives us the goal, highest goal, is to become attached to him. So if you remember when we are discussing the concepts of Sambandha, Videya and Prayojan, that we first reach the Prayojan and then how to go there, we have to do the Abhidaya to reach the Prayojan. I gave the example of BMW car. When you saw the car, you felt love with the car. So, and now you're attracted to the car. Now the process to get that BMW car, the Abhidaya you have to work on. So we actually touch the Prayojan in one sense, and then we have to work it out to ultimately attain it. Similarly, when we came into Krishna consciousness, we felt, that inner surge within our heart, within our souls, that, oh, Krishna, I have to attain love for Krishna. And we felt that we are actually having that prema, kind of a prema. And then, we started the process of hearing, chanting. That attraction was there. There was that Shraddha stage is also, there is a little bit prema in it. But then the Abhidhe, we have to practice the Abhidhe of hearing, chanting, sadhu sangha, bhajana. We have to do all that. And we have to go through that Abhidhe process and ultimately purify our hearts to attain prema for the Lord. So we reach the Prayojan and then we have to walk through that path. We walk through that path to the Abhidhe. So similarly in 7.1, Krishna gives the highest goal, Maya Sakta, but how it all begins? Tatshunu, the Navida Bhakti, hearing and chanting. So that's how we can understand it. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we will finish today only one section of this chapter. Okay, I have to share the screen. So maybe part A we will finish today. So section I said is 1 to 30, the prelude of unlimited opulence of Krishna and his abodes. But first the expanse of the spiritual sky is mentioned. This is the Mangalacharan verse, very beautiful verse. Agatya ekagatim natva hinartadika sadakam Shri Chaitanyam likhamyasya aduraishwar shikaram. Offering my obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Natva, Sri Chaitanyam. Let me describe a particle of his opulence and sweetness. Likhamya asya. He is the most valuable for the fallen conditioned soul bereft of spiritual knowledge. Heen artadika sadhakam. And he is the only shelter for those who do not know the real goal of life. Agatya ekagatim. So I'll describe the particle of his opulence and sweet. Madhurya Aishwarya Shikaram. Shikaram means particle. So let me describe. So this is the Mangala Charan, and in one sense, the entire thing what is going to be coming up in chapter 21 is what the Madhurya and Aishwarya, the opulence and sweetness of the Lord, is being described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. For whom? For those conditioned souls who are bereft, who are fallen. Hina artadika sadhakam. So it is for them he is describing. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. Jaya Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Acharya. Jaya Advaita Chandra. And all glories to all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shata Sahasra Ayuta Laksha Koti Yojan Eka Eka Vaikuntera Vistara Varnan. The breadth of each Vaikuntha planet is described as 8 times multiplied by 100. Shata. By 1000 Sahasra. By 10,000 Ayuta. By 100,000 Laksha. And by 10 million Koti. In other words, each Vaikuntha planet is expanded beyond our ability to measure. So this is the Aishwarya Gyan, the opulence of the Vaikuntha planets, the Aishwarya of the Lord in Vaikuntha. What is the breadth of each Vaikuntha planet? 8 miles. Yojan means 8 miles. By multiplied by 100, 1,000, 10,000, lakh, and a crore, 10 million. Sabha Vaikuntha Vyapaka Ananda Chinmay Parshad Shad Aishwarya Purna Sabha. Each Vaikuntha planet is very large and each is made of spiritual bliss. Ananda Chinmay. The inhabitants are all associates of the Supreme Lord, Parshad. And they have full opulence like the Lord himself. Parshad also are Shad Aishwarya. Purna. This is how the Vaikuntha planets are all situated. Ananta Vaikuntha Eka Eka Deshayara Sei Paravyam Dhamera Ke Karu Vistara. Since all the Vaikuntha planets are located in a certain corner of the spiritual sky, who can measure the spiritual sky? So, Likhami Shikhara. I'm just describing a particle. So, one Vaikuntha planet we cannot measure. So, how can we measure the spiritual sky? Even in this material world, the earth itself is one tiny dot in this Brahmand. And this Brahmand is the smallest Brahmand. And in this Brahmand, there are millions of planets. And we cannot fathom also. So how we can understand the Vaikuntha planets and the spiritual sky? Ananta Vaikuntha Paravyoma Yara Dala Shreni Sarvopari Krishna Loka Karnikara Gani. The shape of the spiritual sky is compared to a lotus flower. Now here I would like to show the Goloka chart. It becomes easy for us to understand. So let us, I'll just open the Goloka chart. Give me a second. Just opening the Goloka chart. Yes. Yeah, Mahaprabhu is saying here, sharing the screen. I should share the screen. The shape of the spiritual sky is compared to a lotus flower. Anant Vaikuntha Paramu Yara Dala Shreni. The topmost region of that flower is called the whirl. Karnikar. Karnikar is the whirl. And within that whirl is Krishna's abode. Sarvopari Krishna Lok. The petals of the lotus, spiritual lotus flower consist of many Vaikuntha planets. So in the Golok chart, this is nicely depicted. You can see here that this is a lotus. The center is Golok Vrindavan, where Krishna resides. And even in the Vaikuntha planets, you can see here the center is Narayan. And there are a lot of petals which consist of the Ananta Koti Vaikuntha planets. So that's how Mahaprabhu is giving the analogy. Eimata Sadaishwaryasthana Avatar Brahma Shiva Antanapai Jiva Konchar. Each Vaikuntha planet is full of spiritual bliss, complete opulence and space, and each is inhabited by incarnations. If Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot estimate the length and breadth of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets, how can ordinary living entities begin to imagine them? So this is the scale. If Brahma and Shiva cannot understand the length and breadth of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets, so how can we Jivas can understand? Now, what is the proof for this? Lord Brahma himself is saying after the Brahma Viman Leela, his prayers are there. Ko vetti bhuman bhagavan paratman yogeshwarotir bhavatas trilokyam va katam va kati va kadeti vistarayan kridasi yogamayam. O Supreme Great One, Woman, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Supral Soul, Paramatman, Bhagavan, Master of all mystic power, Yogeshwaratir, your pastimes, Bhavatas, are taking place continuously in the three worlds, Trailokyam. But who can estimate where, how, and when you're employing your spiritual energy and performing your pastimes? Ko va, katham va, kati va, kadeti vistaram kridashi yogamayam. No one can understand the mystery of these activities. So this is from Brahma's prayers after the Brahma Vimal Leela. Now the second part is the expanse of Krishna's transcendental qualities. So let me see now. It's already 8:13. So any questions up till now? We have finished one section in it. Now the next section is also few more verses which we can easily finish. And I can take it from, but before that, are there any questions, any clarifications up till now? Okay, so let us go to now the expanse now of the Vaikuntha Aishwarya is there. Now the expanse of Krishna's qualities is mentioned. Eimata Krishnera Divya Shad Gun Ananta Brahma Shiva Sanakadi Naipayanranta. The spiritual qualities of Krishna are also unlimited. How just like the Vaikuntha planets are unlimited in length and breadth, which are all made of full opulences, spiritual bliss, Chidanandamaya. Similarly, Krishna's qualities are also unlimited. And what? Great personalities like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four Kumaras cannot estimate the spiritual qualities of the Lord. Brahma, Shiva, Sanakadi, Napaya, Andra, Anta. Now the proof again is Lord Brahma's prayers in the Brahma Viman Leela. Gunatmanastepi gunan vimatum hitavatirnasya ka isharesya kalinayerva vimata sukalpe upam sava khe mihika dvyubhasa. In time, great scientists may be able to count all the atoms of the universe. Gunatmanaste api. All the stars and planets in the sky and all the particles of snow, but who among them can count the unlimited transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He descends on the surface of the globe for the benefit of all living beings. Hitvarti avatirnasya ka isharasya. So we can count the atoms in the universe, the stars, the planets, the particles of snow, and we all know who can count it. Nobody can count it. So if we can count it also, still we cannot count the unlimited qualities of the Supreme Lord. So this is a proof. This verse, the Brahma's Press, is a proof that Krishnera Divya Sadagun Ananta, that Krishna's qualities are unlimited. Again, this is quote from the Brahma Vayuna Livla 10:14:7. Brahmadi Raho Sahastra Vadane Ananta Nirantara Gaye Mukya Napaye Guniranta. Forget about Brahma. To say nothing of Brahma, even Lord Ananta. Ananta is again an expansion of Krishna. He's a, in what category does Ananta come among? We saw that there are three principal manifestations of Krishna: Swayam Bhagavan, Tadekatma, and Avesh. So, in which of the three categories does Lord Anant come? Anyone knows? Can raise their hands. Those who have attended chapter 20 quite in detail will definitely answer. Which category does Ananta, Anantshesh fall in? Anyone who will answer this? Where does Ananta come? Who will answer this? Whether it is Swayam Bhagavan category or Tadekatma or Avesh. Anyone would like to try? Yes, Reena Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandatam Prabhuji. It is Vaibhav Prakash.
Vaibhav Prakash. Okay. What about others? Any others who would like to try? Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash are these two. But Ananta, in which category he is coming? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
So I am also seeing that only Vaibhav Prakash.
So let us see the chart of the. So the Avesh Rupa is here, and you can see there is Anant Shesh, Bhudharan Shakti. He is in the Avesh Rupa. So he comes under the Avesh Rupa. Avesh Rupa. Okay, so let's go back to the verse. Where were we? Yes. Yeah, take this last verse. Brahmadi raho sahastra vadane ananta nirantar gaye mukhe na paye guniranta. To say of Lord Brahma, even Lord Ananta, who has thousands of heads, cannot reach to the end of Lord's transcendental qualities, even though he is continuously chanting their praises. So even Ananta, Nant means he is continuously been extolling the glories and speaking the glorious transcendental qualities, and there is no end coming to it. So even he cannot fathom it, although he's continuously chanting the praises. What is the proof? Here is the proof again from the Bhagavatam. Nantam vidamyaham ami munayo grajaste maya balasya purushasya kuto varaye gayan gunan dashashatanan Adideva Shesho Adunapi Samavasati Nasya Param. If I, Lord Brahma, and your elder brothers, the great saints and sages, Ami Munoyo Agrajaste, cannot understand the limits of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of various energies. Who else can understand them? Although constantly chanting about his transcendental qualities, the 1,000 Lord Shesha has not reached the end of the Lord's activities. Shesho Adunapi Nasya Param. Gayan Gunan Dasha Shatanan Adiru. So even although he's been continuously, constantly chanting, but he is not coming to an end. So if Shesha cannot come to an end, who is an expansion of Krishna, then how I, Brahma, and the great sage and sages within this material universe can understand? So that's the point here. Now this verse was spoken by Narad Muni to Lord Brahma and is from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.41. After describing the Guna avatars and the Leela avatars, the incarnations which perform pastimes within this material world, the scheduled incarnations, then Brahma speaks this verse to Narad Muni. Seyoraho sarvagya shiromani Shri Krishna nija gunera antanapaye ayena satrishna. To say nothing of Anandev, even Lord Krishna himself cannot find an end to his own transcendental qualities. Indeed, he himself is always eager to know them. In fact, he is eager to know what are the transcendental qualities he possesses. And that's why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what to speak of Anandev? Even Krishna himself cannot find an end to his transcendental qualities. And the proof for this is here. Dhyupataya evatena yayurantam anantaya tvam api yad antarand nichaya nanu savarna kha iva rajam sivanti vasaya sa yachunatayas tvaihi falanti atan nirasanena bhavan nidhana. My Lord, you are unlimited, you are Ananta. Even the predominating deities of the higher planetary systems, including Lord Brahma, cannot find your limitations. Nor can you yourself ascertain the limit of your qualities. So this is the point. Nor you yourself can ascertain the limit of qualities. It was mentioned in this verse, and this is the proof. Like atoms in the sky, there are multi-universes with 7 coverings, and these are rotating in due course of time. All the experts in Vedic understanding are searching for you by eliminating the material elements. Neti, the Sankhya Yoga is the whole process. In this way, searching and searching, they come to the conclusion that everything is complete in you. Thus, you are the resort for everything. This is the conclusion of all Vedic experts. After searching like this, the Gyanis, after many, many lifetimes, they come to conclusion that Vasudeva is everything. So this is, I think, spoken by the personified Vedas. Yeah. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the personified Vedas, is confirmed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadante vasudeva sarvamiti sahamatma. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge, jnanavan, surrenders to me, mam prapadyante, knowing me to the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very well. Sahas Mahatma Sudurlabha Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Even after searching for the absolute truth throughout the universe, learned scholars and Vedic experts cannot reach the ultimate goal. In this way, they come to Krishna. When there is a discussion about the absolute truth, there is always various pros and cons. The purpose of such arguments is to come to the right conclusion. This is it or this is not it. This is in the Jnana section, this is how they discuss, the Jnanis. Neti is a process. Such an argument is generally known as neti, not this, not this. This is not the absolute truth. It's not the, until one comes to the right conclusion, the process of thinking, this is not the absolute truth, that is not the absolute truth, will continue. When we come to the right conclusion, we accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is the ultimate truth. So, during Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur time, one German scholar came to India in search of God, and he was visiting many temples in order to know who is God. So he visited many temples, and everywhere he saw the deities were, holding some weapons. Some were 8-handed, like the Durga form or the Shiva form, all holding different weapons. But at last, oh, this is not God, this is not God. But at last, when he came to a Krishna temple and he saw Krishna holding a flute, playing and enjoying, oh, this must be God. He came to the right conclusion. So similarly, we come to the ultimate conclusion that Krishna is God. So now, Krishna's opulence in Vrindavan, as depicted in Brahma Vimohan Leela, very, very important pastime of Krishna's Aishwarya Gyan. We will take up this in tomorrow's class. So any questions, any clarifications anyone has up till now? Okay, so we will stop. One question is here. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, just one clarification. You mentioned Gyan refers to Aishwarya Gyan and Vigyan refers to Madhurya Gyan.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Prabhu, if we try to connect between Gyan and Vigyan, Aishwarya Gyan and Madhurya Gyan, so link is the sadhana.
Yeah, both are for sadhana. Aishwarya Gyan, we should know Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna and Madhurya Gyan of Krishna also.
So, Prabhu, my point was for realizing Madhurya Gyan, the sadhaka has to practice compulsorily Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti.
Okay, good. Interesting question. I sense that was the question of yours. Yeah. Firstly, we have to understand that if we want to know Krishna in Vrindavan, but first we need to know who is Krishna. How Krishna means his energies, his Shaktis. So Krishna Shaktis are the Bhairanga Shakti and the Tatastha Shakti. And how Krishna, through his expansion as Purusha avatars, manifest this material universe. So the Shrishti pastimes. So this is all Aishwarya Gyan. And when we know all this, we understand who is Krishna. Oh, this Krishna who is playing the flute and playing the rasa dance with the gopis, from his body, from his expansion of expansion is Purusha avatar, the Karanodakshaya Vishnu. And unlimited universe manifests from that Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is just an expansion of Krishna. So we'll not mistake. So the Aishwarya Gyan, when the more we attain the Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna's energy and the opulence of Krishna, the more appreciation for Krishna will come. That is Madhurya. So yes, slowly, the sweetness will come up. And generally for Vaidhi-Sagadakas, it is more important for us to understand the Aishwarya Gyan. And as we get purified by understanding, this is Bhagavad Sambandhit Gyan only. Please understand that. It is not the Gyan of the Gyanis who want to merge in the impersonal Brahman. Not that Gyan. It is Bhagavad Sambandhit Gyan. All that chapter 20 discussion on the Krishnera Swarupa, which are Shuno Sanatan, the Swayam Bhagavan, Tadekatma, and the Avesh, all these different expansions of Krishna, this is all Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna. So the more we understand the Aishwarya, and the more we'll become attached to Krishna, and the more we'll practice bhakti, aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma. Bhajante means one will become more drid and bhajan. Bhuda bhava. Bhuda means with our intelligence. Bhava means with emotions. So with our intelligence, we understand the Aishwarya Gyan, and then slowly the emotions will start coming. And the qualities of Krishna, the sweetness of Krishna, how Krishna is so having wonderful qualities, how merciful he is. So slowly that will also, in reciprocation to the Aishwarya Gyan, the Madhurya Gyan will reveal, and slowly at the advanced stages of bhajan, in fact, in Raganuga sadhana, it will be more the Madhurya Aishwarya Gyan is there, but the attraction is more for developing relationship with Krishna in Vrindavan and with the eternal associates. So it is there in the background, but there is more sweetness. The Madhurya form attraction is there more. So that's how also it is. But Buddha Bhava Samanvita, that's how it goes together. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. So we will stop here. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada